Aloha, and welcome to the Genie Show. My name is Genie Joseph, and I'm really glad you're out there with us because I have a wonderful show for you. We have Renee Tillotson, and she's the director and founder of the Still and Moving Center in Honolulu. Aloha, Renee.
Aloha, Jeannie. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Now let's understand a little bit about what Nia is, because I know you are a Nia dance teacher, and let's tell the audience a little bit about Nia.
Okay. Well, Nia is a movement practice that has given me so much joy that I wanted to share it with as many other people as I could. And Nia is a practice that does include dance arts, as you said, and it also includes martial arts and healing arts. And the healing art that most people recognize is yoga. Mm-hmm. So it takes the energies of dance arts, martial arts, and healing arts, fuses them together, and throws on a big dollop of fun.
Okay.
And
so
we call it Nia.
In one class you get your exercise, your healing, your martial arts, your connection with the source, and all of that in one class.
Oh, well, that's a tall order. That's what we go for.
That's great. That's great. And so what inspired you to create the Still and Moving Center?
I just found that there wasn't a single place in Honolulu where I could go and teach Nia 7 days a week and have a lot of other Nia teachers teaching there too.
Okay.
So it was time to create one.
All right, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the name of the center. It's called the Still and Moving Center.
Right.
So what does that mean to you?
Well, Nia is a practice that does start out with a gentle warm-up, and then we get very aerobic. So I'm always in a full body sweat by the end of a Nia class. Toward the end of the class, we slow it down. We often come right down to the floor, as one would for yoga, for example. And even when we're in the most high energy portion of a Nia class and we're going really fast, because of our practice in Nia of holding a focus, I have found that for me, Nia is a moving meditation. Mm-hmm. So I'm holding a still center within, even while I'm in the midst of motion. Mm-hmm. So the name Still and Moving Center comes from the idea of keeping a still center while moving. And even our logo has a still point with a moving swish around it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And do you find that students are able to maintain that as they leave the class, as it translate into their lives, that they can maintain that sense of moving meditation?
I have. I've found that when I give them a focus for their class 1 week, then they come back the next week to the same class, and I said, oh, so we're picking up from where we left off last week. What was our focus? And they'll be able to tell me.
Okay.
Meaning to me that they've been able to carry that through.
Mm-hmm. Now that's a really interesting idea, the idea of having a focus through movement and carrying that into your week and moving through that. What would be some of the focuses maybe that you've done recently in class?
Okay. Well, one of the focuses, or foci, I like to say focuses, it's easier. One focus that I might use is moving from center.
Okay.
So just that idea that any movement that I do, rather than it coming from my exterior, out in my extremities, I'm going to generate that movement from within, from a still point, and then move it out. And it gives a much more organic and systemized quality to the movement. One of the things about the Nia movement is that it's very integrative movement. So we would never just move a hand without that movement being connected with all the rest of the body. That's going to initiate some movement all the way down to my little toe and over to my left ear if I'm using my right hand. So this idea of moving from center would be one focus.
Okay. Well, now that's very interesting because certainly we see people at the gym and they're kind of moving maybe without that awareness or that consciousness, and nothing against what they're doing, but maybe it isn't quite as valuable for the body when you're really integrating it. The whole mind-body connection is more involved when you have that awareness, and I think it's much more healing than just moving for the sake of movement's sake. Or, I think people can get injured when they're putting their focus on maybe just creating the form without really creating that sense of connection. Is that true?
Yes, I think so. I'd like to point out the antithesis of Nia type movement. That would be when we go to the gym, we put on our headphones, and we're watching the screen, and we have a book open, and we start doing something. We're doing everything that we can to block out body awareness. Whereas Nia is inviting us to be very, very aware of body sensation. And that awareness does help integrate all of the different body parts together. It also does, as you mentioned, help prevent against injury. So that when a student of Nia is practicing, we're asking them to take responsibility for their body movement and how they feel, what their sensations are, so that if the teacher is modeling a movement in one way, and that's causing a little bit of feeling of stress in their knees, for example, or their back doesn't feel quite comfortable doing it the way the teacher is doing, instead of saying, everybody do it this way, instead in Nia we say, you do the tweaks that you need. Pay attention to your body sensations. And
I've seen you talk in the class about different levels, like a level 1, 2, and 3. So the same movement might have different levels of intensity or height or energy, so that people can modify it and still sort of be in sync with the class, but yet adapting to their own body, what's going on in their own body.
Exactly.
And that's a very unique way of being in an exercise class. You still get the advantage of group exercise, but you have that awareness of, how does my body feel doing this? Is this good for my body? Do I need to adjust this?
Exactly. And it makes it so that people of all ages, all body types, all abilities, and some people may come into a Nia class from a certain injury. And by doing the modifications and staying very body aware, they're able to get some healing happening by using a motto that we say in Nia is, through movement we find health. So they're doing movement, they're keeping it gentle and keeping it appropriate for their own healing body's sake. And yet somebody else in the room who comes in and they've got a great sense of energy that day and they're pretty fit, they can be taking the same class and kick it up 1, 2 notches and be getting this wonderful workout while somebody else is moving at a more gentle pace and still taking the same class from the same teacher.
Right. And so that's part of the culture of Nia, is that this is not a bad thing or wrong thing. You're not wrong if you're adjusting the exercise to your body. In fact, that's what we're going for here. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you look at a class of Nia people, everybody should look different. There is choreography given, so everybody can be doing the same basic step, basic choreography, but everybody's going to do it to fit their body's way. Nia's scientifically designed to accommodate the different ways that our joints move. All the Nia moves, there are 52 basic Nia movements, are specially designed so they take advantage of whether a joint is a hinge joint or it's a joint that is good for rotation, etc. It takes into account the body's way, and then we take those general movements and we tweak them for our body's way, our particular body's way, so that we really have a chance to customize, tailor our own workout each time that we come and do a Nia class.
Excellent. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching The Genie Show. My name is Genie Joseph, and I have a wonderful guest with me. Renee Tillotson is the director of the Still and Moving Center here in Honolulu. So, Renee, I know that you have some other teachers that you've decided to join and make it a very full house there. What are some of the other practices that we're seeing at the Still and Moving Center?
Well, the Still and Moving Center does, in fact, have a number of different practices in addition to NIA. When deciding which practices to add to the NIA we were going to have, I thought, what was it about NIA that to me epitomized what I most get out of it? And it was the idea of moving meditation, that I can focus myself in this NIA practice for 1 hour, and I'm so completely engaged in that practice that by the time I finish that practice, all my shopping lists, all the things I was worried about, they've just dropped out of my mind. I've just been there, present in class. And it's almost like I've come back from a vacation or something. I feel so rejuvenated and joyful from taking a NIA class. So that moving meditation is, for me, the best part of NIA.
Yes.
So what practices could I imagine being done in that moving meditation manner? And that's how I came to select the different classes that we're offering at Still and Moving Center, and the number of classes continues to grow and the number of practices continues to grow.